What's good, people? Give me a second here. I want to be able to see the screen, and the sunlight's a little weird. It's getting a lot of glare. But as usual, I will wait about 5 minutes. Before we dip into things. Trying to find a place, because the shade, even with the shades, the shade from the tree ain't even helping, and the sun. What up, Danny? Well, see, I can't even read this right now. What up, Damien? Thank you. Yeah, what up, Zet? Let me see on this side of the table if it helps a little bit. What up, Lion Strong? What's good here? I'm gonna need some people that work in the film business so we can figure out how to get the lighting correct. What is going on, everyone? So no, I probably won't be able to read your comments too well when I'm chatting, just because the sun is really causing a lot of glare. Sun gazing burns your vision. That's probably why I got the sunglasses on right now. Yeah, you got to realize it's not burning your vision. It's basically like, think about if you go work out, what do you get? You get muscle soreness. Your eyes are muscles, and whether you're just burning off some you know, some garbage in your eyes, or dealing with like pulling away the layers of crustaceans inside of your, you know, where your cornea is, that could be occurring. So, and a little, you know, that's funny, because yesterday I stared at the sun for a while, and I get, you know, you get the kind of like, you can't see because you collect so much sun, and it's kind of spitting it out, and you can't really see anything. Yeah, I can't see, like right now. Yeah. Well, we just. Okay, well, then as long as you guys can see, I'm just saying I can't read your comments. So for me, that's why I'm kind of like. Yeah. Let me try. You know what? Let me try adjusting something here. If this shuts it down for a second, I'll be right back. Hold on. Let me see. Ooh, whoa, that changed. I had my red light filter on in the daytime. That's what was going on. Oh, now I don't even need these things. What's up, y'all? Good, man. What's that? Oh, yeah, some kratom. Yeah, doing well. Yeah, so hold up 1 second, y'all. Maybe if I just play with some filter settings on my side, I can see a little better. That might work for me. Yeah, I want to be able to see all your comments. Oh, Zet, you went strong. You went with the noon. You went at noon, huh? Let me see. Let me see what happens over here. Because I want to be on this side because I wanted to come out and get some sunshine myself. This ain't about doing this video. It's about me getting a little sun because I ain't been outside, so I'm a little chalky. Now you're right on time, Christina. Yeah, but Zet Chrono going on at noon? Oh, that's tough right there. Let me see what color it is today, if it's white or yellow. Ooh, that is beaming white today. That's why I got the sunglasses on right now. I ain't really stared in the sun too long. It's tough. It's definitely gonna make my eyes red to bring all the blood to the surface. That's why I gotta close my eyes for a second looking at it. I gotta adjust. Yeah, Damien, I just worked that out. I had my red light filter on, or the blue light filter, and then I had the twilight on, so it was all adjusted for nighttime because I really have it on all the time because blue light to me, and you know, like, it's funny for me, a lot of the blue light things, blue light in general, and even the color blue. I don't wear the color blue often because that for me is already wide open. I already talk too much. So my sensitivity to the color blue, and you know, if you go through the chakras and then you go through like even scientific studies on the different color spectrums and how it affects your chemistry in your brain as well as thought patterns and things. They even done some things in schools and getting kids to concentrate versus like what lights work at different times of day. And the blue light for me has always been like my brain is already on high. So most of the time I need red lights, just a red light district, you know, it calms and relaxes the mind. Yeah, we 8 minutes in. I don't even know what we're talking about. I made a title earlier because I wanted to talk about whatever the title was. What was the title of this? Oh, it was frequencies, realms, and was it frequencies, realms, and what? Somebody got it, let me know here. Come on, what's the title of this video? Frequencies, realms, and states of, yeah, frequencies, states, and realms of consciousness, yes. Because those are 3 completely separate containers. And as usual, because there's so many things that are said within all of these communities, you know, people that are woke up, conscious, trying to, you know, go up that ladder of awareness to what's going on. A lot of times people use words completely out of place or wrong, and I don't mean to say wrong, but there is a certain, you know, value that that people have agreed upon for the word. Say like I cut into the word ego all the time because people just use it wrong, or the word soul because they're using it wrong. A lot of times people say soul and they mean spirit. A lot of times people will use the word yeah, where was I at? Sorry, I just kind of lost myself or someone. So they use the word soul when they mean the word spirit. They'll use the word ego, even though they haven't really ever just looked at the quick definition of it and then really get into what do they really think that is. So as we're talking about frequencies, realms, and states of consciousness, you have to think of this in the way I like to do it in the way, if we look at a map. You know, there's a state in a map, and there's a city within. So you look at your country, and you look at your city, and you look at a state. So a state of consciousness really has to do with, look at that border around that state. That place has a state of consciousness unto itself. It has different rules, laws, jurisdictions, etc., and the people tend to have those types of, you know, concepts and mindsets. So these states exist in a way that is, let me explain it this way. It's a housing. If you live inside of a state and then inside of a city is a place of power within a state of consciousness. So a city is an actual epicenter within what is called a state. So a state of consciousness is a large idea. A state of consciousness is equivalent to what, if you listen to one of my earlier videos, maybe 3 days ago, where I broke down the concept of what a spirit, what a human is, what a spirit is, what a demigod is, what an archon is, what an archetype is, and I went through all of these things, and basically it's all Russian dolls. It's all about boxes within boxes. And a state is a state of consciousness that someone exists within. You're inside of that, just like in a state. And that city is a place of power. It's a point of something. It's a point of reference. So we have points of reference to our state of being, which becomes a powerful position as a city. That's why it is that singular thing. So that city is, say, you know, because in say another language, the word city, S-I-D-D-H-I, means a person that has magical powers. So that magical power is a focus. Now, do you see how this works? If I have a state of consciousness, which is this ball, or on a map, it would be a state, say the state of New Jersey. And in New Jersey, there's a city, which means a point, a focal point of consciousness, of awareness towards something. So if you say in India, you say that is a city right there, you'd be talking about a guru. You'd be talking about somebody that has laser light like focus and attention and consciousness inside of a state, but they can take that state and make it that city, that tiny little point of focus within a state of being, a state of consciousness. And that's that focus that people try to acquire. What does it mean to be in a city? You can be uptown, you can be downtown. These are spiraling vortexes of energy. You can get stuck inside of a vortex in downtown, which is pulling energy into something, into the city. But if you are the city, you gain. If you are the people coming into the vortex, the energy systems coming into that vortex, it gets collapsed into it. It doesn't mean you lose anything necessarily. If you have a key to the city, if you're a friend of the city, it delivers back to you, so you can live within a city. But the city itself is the vortex of energy downtown that pulls energy into something and then spits it out the other side. This is what must be remembered. It's never, people put it at one level, oh, this is a bad place, don't go there, don't go to Las Vegas, don't go to these certain cities, because, well, the problem for people that don't want to go to Las Vegas is ones with gambling problems. People that don't want to go to New York City are ones that have problems with, you see that there's states of awareness of why people don't want to go to cities, because they would lose their mind in a city, because a city is a powerful place. It's a vortex. And a city houses it takes the entire state and compresses it. And then the people, which are the spirits, actually, when you find cities within a city within a city, that's like a vortex within a vortex that spits out on the other side the energetic flux. So this is why it's a double torus. So even though I'm a city, I'm collecting energy from people in certain ways. From the sun right now, I'm a city collecting from the sun. I'm a city collecting from people give me dollars, whatever. But then out of the other side, all of this information, all of this reality, whatever I have to say to improve and shine light upon things, yes? Now, just to taking one step back, what frequency has to do with this? Because a lot of people out here talk about frequency. Oh, we're just states of, we're just beings of frequency. Well, yes, but you realize you have a heart that's doing a different frequency, then your lungs are doing a different frequency, then your brain is pulsing like this. Well, your heart is it doing this, or is it doing one of these, or is it, there's different paces and different rhythms even within your own body. I'm breathing, my eyes are catching reality at this pace. Maybe I'll slow down my breathing, but I'm going to speak faster. There's different types of rhythms and pacings to what are these frequencies. So we say, well, we're just this state, this body, this ego, this shell, the eagle, the egg. An egg is an eagle. It's a containment vessel. Your ego is an egg. It's an eggshell that contains your vessel. If you crack open the egg, you're everywhere, right? That's being in the soul. But you don't get to participate with reality from that. You don't get to say, oh, we're everything, and just stay in that state of consciousness. Because if you're saying, oh, we're all just the same thing, well, you speaking and me hearing you, it disassociates that value from ever being true. Because you're over there, I'm over here. Everyone has to be in an eggshell. Everybody has to have an ego to have the experience we're having, to be able to communicate. Because once that eggshell opens and goes amongst everything, which is fine to happen, and it happens a lot to people when you find yourself completely integrated, coordinated with things, but there still is a level of communication that occurs. And the only way you can communicate is to form something. When you crack open an egg, it's formless. But when you take that and put something together and you heat it up, you heat up that what's inside of that egg, and it makes form. The ego is very fragile. Because people, because they don't necessarily know what it is. It's very fragile, but if you put an egg in your hand and you try to squeeze it, you won't be able to break it. It is extremely powerful. There's electrical charge within an egg, within an ego. It's fragile, but it's also extremely potent and powerful. Thus, what comes out of an egg? All of life. It creates the next thing. The seed, the egg is synonymous with each other. So, this concept of frequencies, back to this. We could deal with certain frequencies within patterns and rhythms within music, but your life is doing the same thing anyway. So, we're going through these altering frequencies that bring us into states of consciousness. If you have a different frequency, meaning I frequently go to the grocery store and I come back here, it's a stagnant frequency. If I change my frequency, it might get bigger. And if instead of going to that grocery store, I go 2 miles out, I go to a different grocery store. Or maybe I stop going to that grocery store and I go over here 40 miles to on a Sunday, and I'll go to that little farmer's market. All of a sudden I've grown that ego, that egg, that shell, and all of a sudden maybe that actually I have to cross a state line, state of consciousness line, right? So I found that when I lived in Baltimore, oftentimes I would go into D.C. That's a completely different state. That's a very different state of consciousness as well as being. And I'd also find myself going from Maryland to D.C., which is another country, another thing altogether. And I'd find myself going to Virginia. And I'd be finding water in different places. Literally, I would go hunt, if you want to call it, hunt water. I would go find springs. And so my consciousness, actually, while I was residing in the Baltimore is the moorland of Baal. I was finding myself collecting water, living waters from different states. And I was not only doing that literally, physically on a level, but because I was altering frequencies of what I was doing, I was finding myself expanding my awareness in states of consciousness. And so that was kind of the little chitty chat, and I hope that makes sense to kind of go through this. Where this came from was there's always a little bit of Neville Goddard in my evening, and he's always talking about states of consciousness. Everyone's in a state of consciousness, and that's true. It is true. But there's also something bigger than that, where, like, what if you're in a country of consciousness? What if you're in in a world of consciousness. What if you have a, you know, people talk about this, so you have a galactic mind, then you're not in a state of consciousness anymore. You're outside of a state of consciousness. You still have an ego, you still have an egg, you still have a shell. It just happens to encompass a lot more things. But then you jump from city to city, which means point of focus. That is essentially what a globe trotter is, or somebody that is, you know, goes from state to state inside of different cities. You know, some people bring the same mental mindscape to different cities to inject things in there, like as an artist might go to different cities and bring their same music, so it's adjusting the frequency of the city. And other times the city will adjust the frequency of you by going into it. And that is the two vortexes. So if you come and listen to me, I'm a city vortexing your energy into something and then spitting it back out to you. It's a two-directional thing here. Some cities, you go to New York City, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know what you're going to get out of it. If you go to certain cities, you're walking into a vortex. It spirals information into the ground, which is to ground out the information. The city is built on the ground. But as that happens, all of that information through the sidewalks and all of the buildings spits off the vortex out the top of the buildings, which are the corporate entities. The corporations are the corporate entities. The corpuscle, the what holds the fluidium, and the people inside are the fluidium. The people inside are the spirits, or the energy that brings the dead corporate thing to life. But it spits the information and energy out of the top of the building. Because the buildings are, as always, masculine concepts. They're patriarchal. They're the penis. And they're spitting out the information out of the top. Where's that going? Well, not a lot of people know. But hopefully that was a fun little adventure into those concepts, and it kind of demystifies these words. And so when people are using them a little bit incorrectly, we can understand when we say frequency, what we really mean. How often is something occurring? When we say state, we literally mean state. When we say city, when we say, like, you know, what is your consciousness, man? Like, yeah. Christine, I'm channeling all of this, you could tell. It is very weird to channel things. Because it's because I've said this before. I don't channel things like other people. I'm not saying going, I'm going to breathe in, close my eyes, and just speak through the Zeta Alphalon Nectar, you know, spaceship or whatever, moonbeam or whatever that is. It doesn't. I don't. That's the thing, is I don't disassociate my own ego from doing it, nor my own texture and tendencies of the way that I speak and communicate. I don't just put myself to the side and say, let's just channel this through me. I'm just your vessel. Like, no, it's not really like that. Not for me, at least. I know other people do that, and you can see it, but that's not for me. And I don't think that should be for anyone, because it disassociates from you from your experience. These people that go through like this channeling thing, doesn't matter if it's good or bad or indifferent. I'm happy a lot of them do it. But if they step outside of that, like, well, I don't know what I said. I don't know what I did. Because you didn't do it, because you didn't even participate in the experience. And if everyone were to be a channel, then no one would be having an experience. And so the lesson here, for me at least, to everyone else, is learn how to channel information and use yourself as kind of a filtering system for it. So there's all sorts of things that go through my head whenever I'm kind of speaking. A lot of it's already there as a base in me. And that base says, this shit ain't getting through if it's faulty. And other shit, I already know specific words, and I'm pretty well versed on language. And then as I'm kind of just allowing for information to come into me, like, does it make sense for me to repeat it? That echo chamber that happens in my head, does this sound like a good thing to say? Would this be beneficial for anyone else to gain from? So from the level of, am I channeling? I don't know. A little bit. But I don't think anybody out here is channeling like this, or if they were, they wouldn't tell you they were doing it this way. It's too you know, take off that veil or whatever. Like, a lot of people are just disconnecting from themselves to do a job, right? And even the channels that are doing great jobs to help humanity uplift, you know, from where they're at to the next state of consciousness, their next state of being, they still haven't, you know? I find a lot of channels that are literally, I'm checking them out for 15 years, whatever, and they're still writing the same book. They're being the same channel, and I'm happy for that and helps people along, but I wonder about their journey. I wonder about where they are. Like, they need to be upgraded almost. Like, can we help you? Like, I always see these people out here that think they're doing something really great, and I'm like, yeah, you are, but maybe I'm kind of one of these people like, can I do something for you? Because you all seem to be stuck. You all seem to be stuck at the, you know, the same 1960s, you know, we had high school dance together with your sweetheart vibe, and I'm like, you're 65 now. You need to be moving on and enjoying your life. See, I'm gonna dip through what you all said here, and yeah. Christina, don't break if it lands on grass, or if you put it, or in water either. What up, Sticky Icky? Yeah, Reza, there you go. That's exactly what's up. Thick skin. I think that's one of the reasons I resonate so much with the herbivores, which are the thick-skinned vegetarian hippo, the rhinoceros, and the elephant. I always find myself connected to that kind of whatever that is. And I think it has to do with being a gray alien. I think it has to do with gray matter and thick skin. Like, humble, remember everything, whatever, but, you know, there ain't too many meat eaters out there, you know, from whatever other packs of whatever that could really fuck with any one of those three. Rhinoceros will buck you down. The hippo. So I don't know what it is. I've always dug the idea of the gray. Torn. Yeah, there we go. The quartz crystal. So imagine if you took your shoes off and walked on those sidewalks, you look like a lunatic. But I guarantee something changes. Oh, Gideon, I mean, you said, well, I talk about the question you had the other night about, do we come to these physical realities to escape omnipotence? And yes, we did. That's the right answer. It looks like this. It's very simple. You were sitting there as all it was. You said, this shit is great, but every time I do anything, I know exactly what's happening. I already, you know, it's like, even now, you could think of it in this concept. If you knew that you'd go to the casino and win every hand, it'd get boring. If you knew that everything that you wanted would come to you immediately, at some point you'd want to hit surprise me button. Now, what that looks like from the higher realm is, you took yourself and you split yourself, and so basically you created a mirror, and then after that mirror, you realized, okay, well, I still realize that's me. So you needed to trick yourself even more, because that was too easy. How are you going to trick yourself? You're omnipotent. Then you put the substance, which is the mirror. What's on a mirror usually? It's a mercury. Interesting. Or some type of reflective surface. I mean, it's often we think of it as water, but now all of a sudden we start mirroring things. It becomes this very confusing thing. Oh, is that me? And we put a time delay in it. But so as we got all the way down here, coming from the same source, because we are all the same thing, but we want to divide things up. We had to become from the soul into the gods, into the demigods, you know, and chopping this pie up until we got to here, where, okay, this is a little more enjoyable. On the way down, it was more enjoyable, forgetting that you had absolute power and control of everything, because you gave yourself a time delay, that you'd always get what you wanted anyways. it would just take a little longer. So at first you would get it immediately. Then you said, okay, there's a time delay here. You created time. Take me 10 seconds. Oh, but I still know I'm getting it. Okay, what if it took a year? Whoa. Then you're going to be questioning yourself. Am I actually going to get it? Did I forget who I was? And so that's that, you deviated from consciousness because you wanted to. Like, everybody wanted to. Like, it was too easy to always win everything. But then everybody gets, what do they say? What do they say? God created man so man could become God, which means you come all the way down the pits of the densest shit, and go, oh, okay, this is, I don't know what the fuck is all this. And then you start walking back up, and you say, oh, I am receiving all the gifts I thought I would get. Oh, that's right. I remember where I came from. I just created density and time delay. And within that, there's all of these clues that you leave across the way to remind you, so you don't get too caught up in one state of consciousness. So you can move states of consciousness, and you can move states of awareness, and you can alter things. Oh, Jordan, thank you. Awesome. Wicked. Wicked boy. Torin, being in a city weirds you out because of the circuit board feeling. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Because it becomes too, like, obvious. It becomes like I'm walking around here inside of a computer. And when you're aware of what's going on, it can be kind of like, I'm walking around inside of a computer. I mean, it's... I used to have that very much. Now I can walk into a city much differently because I treat it differently. I used to not be able to walk into a mall. It was just too much lights, too much, like, this is all just consumerism, this is insane, I don't want any part of it. And then a friend of mine brought me to the mall. She said, I need to get my phone fixed. I was like, I don't really want it. She's like, Zen, I know you hate the mall, but come on, help me out. I was like, all right, cool. So I went in there. I was like, well, I'm just going to act a fool today. She had to go to the Apple store. The Apple store? Come on. Allegory, anyone? You know, the biting of the apple, the big apple, the whole thing with reality and the Matrix. So I walked in the Apple store, and instead of walking into the Apple store like I would normally do, I walked in there and I opened up my palms and I breathed in the way I would do anywhere else in the world, like just the way I would interact with nature. I mean, people got a little, you know, some people got like, whoa, what the fuck? But I just laughed and just smiled and just did what I did, and I was just like literally collecting energy. People just throwing energy off. I'm like, I'll take that. And it was like a much different experience. But yeah, the city is I don't prefer it, but cities, like, there's a few cities that I've lived in that kind of give you a little bit of organic on top of the inorganic grid mechanism. Torin, he said maybe that's why we use shoes, because the ground is too powerful. No, we were always the shoes are one of the worst inventions ever. It ruins your gait, it ruins your connection, it ruins everything. You're given shoes because it disconnects you from being part of the organic system. You would feel everything you would do because you would have to pay attention. Look if you're walking down the street with shoes on, you don't care what's beneath your feet. You don't look where you're going. There's less care. You've given up care on a lot of things. You move those shoes, those rubber shoes, and all of a sudden, let's conceptualize this here. We get a car, we got rubber things in the car. When we get in the car, we think we're invincible. We're behind the wheel, texting. Oh, we got airbags. We don't give a shit about anything. You see the connection here? A step back, we were just walking. We're talking about traveling here. First we were traveling barefooted. You know what you do traveling barefooted? You would pay attention to every step you took because you don't want to step on glass. You don't want to step on something that's going to jab you in the bottom of your soul. So you would be very careful to take care of your soul. And then somebody said, no, baby got no soul. Put the shoe on, put the rubber on that. We can't have them identifying with feeling, because you know right away your feeling of your foot if you do something stupid, stubbing a toe, right? So what do? Put shoes on everything. We put rubber soles on everything. We cover up the sole so nobody feels anything. Torrance, so moving from Oklahoma to New Orleans would change your state of consciousness radically. This is not for everyone here. it will. There's 3 types of people. People walk here and say, oh, this is a pretty place, I like it, and then they got to get the fuck out of here because it's too much. And then there's people that they think they maybe could, and then there's people that like this is where they belong. There's not really, I mean, even the middle ground is like they'll get the fuck out of here soon enough. Like you're either in here or you're not. And if you want to go through because this is not like anywhere else. You can move from Oklahoma to Applebee's. Did I say Applebee's? I'm being funny, but because you could be in Applebee's in Oklahoma or Applebee's in New York City or Applebee's anywhere. It's just a same imprint all over the map. It ain't like that down here. I think there's other cities like this to a degree, but no. And the amount of magic and the amount of we keep everything even keel. We're at like sea level. Where else you got sea level? Where else is where else are the dead buried above ground? That's real into necromancy and like what is that about? And magic, if people think magic is fake, like there's a lot of people down here that are, oh, it's magical. They go magical. Like no. It's way different. So would it change your state of consciousness? Oh yes. I wouldn't come from Oklahoma directly here. You might have somewhere to stop along the way as like a gas station to say, hey, is another city going to be an upgrade? Is it going to get me more in tune with, like maybe Austin, I've heard. And I got boogies, huh? Austin, I've heard. I've never been there. And then there's where does Gary live? He lives over there in Asheville. Asheville might be a little, these are just getting out of the standard city life to get a little more organic, and then getting into like a whole different place, which kind of combines everything. Yeah. So it's much different down here. New Orleans seems to be the soul for sure, Reza. Yeah, there's actually some people that have done mathematics on it based on the golden mean, and then getting into like architecture of the imprint on the land, plus you get into where people were coming from that live here, and then the melting pot and the hoodoo and all of this, and they say this is the soul of the world. Like this is the spot that the epicenter of things, and it's very interesting where it is. Like if you look at the little cup from Florida into the Gulf of Mexico, inside of the chalice where New Orleans is, it's pretty interesting. Steve Fernandez. That's way earlier. I don't know what do you mean. Why would you want to collect energy? I don't necessarily collect that much energy. Most of it funnels through me. Why do you eat? You eat to collect energy. Why does anybody, you know what I mean? That's a very obvious question. This whole entire system on this world is about energy acquisition, expenditure, usage, investment. It's always energy. People have been misinformed of what it is because they're using a level of energy that is inorganic, artificial, digital, etc. But energy nonetheless is the thing. It's the thing, even though it's not a thing, right? Energy is what everything is catalyzed upon, how everything is created. It's all that. So who wouldn't? I mean, you're stored up energy just as you sitting there. If you didn't have skin and you're inside, you're a package of energy So wouldn't it make sense to have more of it? You know? And some people don't need it because they're completely streaming it, but but you certainly are a conduit as you know, get into all of the, go get into electronics, go get into electricity, go study electricity. It's very simple. Look at the words, ohms, ohm. There's a reason they're called ohms. Look at the transformers. Look at the different types of things used in there. That's what your body's doing with energy, anyways. Yeah, most people are walking in running shoes. Ain't that funny? Not to mention, like, shoes are the worst invention ever for a billion reasons. Torn, if your feet are cold, your dick won't work. This is correct. This is correct. Yeah, Christine, that's exactly it. People would have to slow down and pay attention to everything. You wouldn't be on, if you were walking around without shoes on, you wouldn't be playing with your phone. You'd be worried about where you're going to put your foot. There might be a stone or a pebble there. Something so simple, but with shoes on, you give two shits about where you're walking. That right there, 1,000 times over, is why shoes are the worst invention ever. Not even to get into everything after that. I go, oh, they're no good because we're not grounded out and we're losing electricity in our system and we're causing disease upon ourselves. Like that's another result. And saying, oh no, it's screwing up our gait because you shouldn't have heels in the back because that adjusts where your spine is and adjusts your neck, and you know, now all of a sudden your knees start to do this and everything is out of order in the body. Like, yeah, that really sucks too. But before both of those things, the most immediate thing is literally like the next movement you make, which is psychological too. Your awareness of everything has to change. And by taking your shoes off, that happens instantaneously. That's why you find people like don't want to take the shoes off to go out. Like, they don't want to pay attention. I've seen people like, man, what if, you know, dog shit somewhere. Man, what if you step in that dog shit? Well, you're wearing shoes, right? It's not even on the sidewalk, right? What you worried about? You ain't the kind of person to take your shoes off walking on. Yeah, but if somebody stepped in that, you know, people just want to argue about shit, right? But take your shoes off. Now nobody's having that conversation about where's the dog shit. They're actually paying attention to where's the dog shit. Sticky icky. I think you can't really describe it. It's the experience for sure. I mean, you could look through all my videos that I've given little bits and pieces. Like, I literally woke up on a street corner called Space and Time, and then looked on a map and realized it didn't exist. I mean, it's not like anywhere else. Look over my shoulder. What's it say? XI? Funny, huh? You think I did that on purpose? If there is a epicenter of soul and magic in the world from anywhere that I've been, you know, there's other countries that have this kind of thing too, but considering all of the diverse of history and melting pottedness in this country, in this area. Torin, the cigarettes in the air was overwhelming. I've never even noticed that. In the French Quarter, it smells like vomit and piss and beer and just stankin' ass people. But if you get outside the regular parts of the quarter, I've never even noticed that. I never smelled that ever. In fact, in other cities, I've noticed the overwhelming rankedness and stench of cigarettes. I've never noticed that here. I mean, yeah, here and there. I mean, people smoke, but. Anna L, that's why winter sucks, you can't walk barefoot. Sure you can. Get used to it. In fact, if you take it slowly, you'll build up to the point where walking barefoot in the winter will be good for you. Like, it will feel good because it will actually instill your body into all of the mechanisms it takes to create fluid motion of blood. Walking barefoot in the cold will stimulate all parts of you. Blood, your heart rate, your lymph system, your immune system, your brain, and then it will be pushing blood through you. You'll be more alive, and if you're capable of doing it, you can build up, you know, the capacity to do that. Like when I was up in New York for a little while, I would go outside and be in the snow barefooted. Like that's, you know, it's pretty enlivening. Yeah, Raz, I've never been to Austin. Jake Dyer, Earth ships. You talking about like? Oh yeah. Earth ships and yeah. I mean, I'll do a whole show on it, I guess. I mean, yeah, I dig it. Like that's obviously the way we should be going. And I think there's ways of infusing technology, because a lot of people who get into this Earth ship shit, they kind of, and sustainable eco living, blah blah blah. I think they go too far and they try to reverse time and go to a place that where things used to be, without understanding there are technologies and understandings and wisdoms. As much as we like to go, oh, things are fucked up today, there are a lot of things that we can use from today's knowledge, that we can interject, and, well, not interject, but, you know, infuse with those kind of things. Like we don't have to go back to doing everything by hand. You know what I mean? Like not everything needs to be done that way. Technology can still be used. There's a lot of things that can, even high technology, can be used to actually make our experience better within something like, you know, an ecologically sustainable living hut. You know, getting into using different types of crystals and nanocrystals and different type of building procedures and understanding sacred mathematics and geometries to structure these things. So, I mean, yeah, it's harken back to the old, but there's ways of developing and using some current technologies and integrating it, you know? Zenith, yeah. You should get at me, Zenith. I already got some plans for shoes, so I mean, this is all just matters of like I already got a bunch of things already, like it's just a matter of the right person coming to me and saying, let's do this. Because I have the blueprints on anything in this reality. But shoes are definitely one of them. I've spoke about it before. And I've actually I gave people like basically the, hey, if you can figure this out for yourself, I already know how to do it, but you could go make yourself a pair. But if somebody wanted to make a business out of some really cool shit that I know about shoes and soles and ergonomics and earthonomics and using different types of materials and basically putting orgonite on your feet, I mean, let me know. Is there an agenda behind shoes, or was it just a mistake? I think that question is a very good one, because it's the same question that there is for everything. Is there an agenda behind it, or was it a mistake? I mean, that's everything in culture. Ask yourself, was there an agenda behind pharmaceutical companies? Yeah, to me, everything is an absolute yes. I mean, as soon as you're given a capitalist system, as soon as you're given money that can leverage time and resources, as soon as that happens anywhere, then everything is inside of what you'd say, is there some sort of agenda or conspiracy, as people like to call it? Yes, it's to make money. And then realizing after they made the money that they could, there's more, there's actually, you know, once you know you made money on shoes for 20 years and all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, well, that's actually, you know, bad for the spine. You go, oh man, it sucks. But then somebody's like, well, yeah, but we can fix the spine with another business. They go, oh, okay, well, then we're good. And all of a sudden, there's two businesses propped up off of one dilemma that somebody didn't realize they caused. So whether or not they caused it or not, like by mistake, I don't know. Whoever they were, I don't know. Shoes were never made out of rubber. At least the kind of rubber we're using now. I mean, they were made out of leather for a reason. And that's a whole, you know, it's a whole nother talk on why wallets are made out of leather, or used to be, and what currency is and energy. Christine, that's really interesting. If you rub garlic on the soles of your feet, the garlic can be detected on the breath. I think that's probably a good way of telling how healthy someone is. How long does it take from, I'm sure this is probably what it was done for. Just, I never heard of it, but if you were to put garlic on the soles of your feet, how long would that take to cycle through till you can breathe it out? And I guess I'm pretty far behind because I'm at 5:30 with Reza. But you like that 11, huh? That was funny enough. I've had some really interesting things even before I knew about all this magic stuff with numbers in my life. 11, 22, and 33. My sport numbers. When I played soccer, it was 11. When I played football, it was 22. And basketball was 33. I knew nothing of these things. Go figure that one out. And in fact, I wanted to be 13 when I was playing soccer, but I didn't get it because the coach's son got it. I know that I know nothing. Through the PayPal, if at the beginning of this video there should be a PayPal direction to me. Don't use mine because I don't have one set up. I don't have a PayPal set up through my email. I think it's on here as paypal.me/TsarXen. It should be at the beginning in the description. That's the way to go. Don't send it to this. If this email is the one at the end where the Theo Luminous, don't send it to that because I don't have it set up to that one. Somebody tried to do the other day and it just caused me more problems because I can't put the same card on 2 emails, so I can't even access shit that people put on if you try to send me something to Theo Luminous. So, and then I just wanted to separate where I'm getting information from for one email, and yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, paypal.me/TsarXen, and if it's sensitive to caps, then it's capital T SAR capital XEN, but it'll be right in the box. So awesome. So hopefully you got that. It was a little earlier. So oh, I guess I caught up. What are my thoughts on David Wolf's grounding shoes? I don't know anything about him, but you know, David Wolf, you know, I don't know where his allegiance lie. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, let me put it this way. For me, there's people that are like, straight away, I'm just like, that person is legitimately soul group material. And then there's people that are kind of like, okay, they have great material, but I can't tell can't tell their motivation. And then there's people like, just like, they acting a fool and they're just full of shit. Well, he's not in the last category. He's kind of borderline on the like, okay, he's family group to like, I don't know. But a lot of times what happens is people, they get too caught up in the scientific world that they're really about this life, about the whole like the energy of the sun and all this. But then they get into the science so much that they become they take a microscope out and look at everything through a microscope, and they start, you know, while they're trying to help, they start to, you know, step on their own toes and start to know too much micro information about things. So, I mean, that doesn't say anything about his shoes because I haven't seen them, but that's just, I find people that get too scientific with things, and that's why, even though I could speak the scientific language and lingo and you know, speak that all day with people, it just ends up being more of an argument. And I always find it like this, that people, you can, especially when it comes to medicines or even an herb. Somebody says, oh, there's this study that was done, and somebody's like, oh, there was this study that was done, and we could play a game. We could play a game for 10 years, literally, on every study that was done on everything. And then we'd have to read through every study and figure out at the end of the day that we were just talking about whether or not peppermint was good. And all of a sudden, there's 50 studies over here, 50 studies over here, and then we're sitting here like flipping through footnotes and saying, oh, well, they screwed the experiment up here, but oh, this one over here, and realize that all we did for 10 years was figure out whether or not peppermint should be put in a tea, you know? So I find myself like, what's simple, observable, repeatable, like, is this having an effect on my life? And I know I got away from the question you asked, but I like to use questions as kind of to give a larger concept of the way that we can look at things. So David Wolf, I dig him. I mean, and I'm sure it's probably cool stuff, you know? I know that I know nothing. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's been screwing people up. I don't know why that's happening. Let me, I'll try to figure that out after the show. So, I mean, I'll just say, like, straight away, if you can set up the Square Cash account, it's mad simple. All you got to do is, it's your email and your bank, and it doesn't even cost you anything, So the Square Cash is easier, and it doesn't cost you a percentage. So if you use that kind of solves the problem for now, and that would be really cool. But if not, I'll try to figure it out later. I don't know why the PayPal isn't working. So I'll check into that. But again, if you use the Square Cash thing, mad simple to set up, and yeah, cool. But I know, thank you. I mean, obviously, thank you for going through some hoops to give me something. Philip K. Dick said, reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, it doesn't go away. Any thoughts? I mean, that's a really hyper, like a grandeur thing to get into right now. I mean, isn't that like a very similar context to Einstein saying reality is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one? I mean, wouldn't that be a very similar thing? Then we'd have to start doing the dicing up game. What does he mean by reality? Does he mean actuality? Does he mean reality? Does he mean this table here? What about when you just fall asleep? Is that part of reality, or have we escaped that at that point? I mean, when we say, we're typing on a computer and we're playing a game here, is this not reality, or is this really happening? We have to, I guess, start at the beginning by qualifying what do you mean by reality? Because I would always step back to other ideas. Like for me, it's like, it's something I've said in so many videos of mine, especially my earlier work. I would always say, but how are you feeling? How is your experience? Because there's two things that gives you. Let me explain it this way. There are two things that give you your experience, therefore gives you your reality. And those two things are a form or a shape of something, an object, a thing, and then your feelings about it. That's all it is. How crazy. And then when you do that, I mean, you could really lose your mind on that shit sometimes, but that's all you have. So what do you have? You have literally an objective reality, and then your feelings towards it. That's your reality. That's all. There's nothing else. There's nothing more, nothing less. That's everything you got. That's everything you'll ever have. So, does that go away? If he means that, I don't think so. I mean, until those times where you're in the dream world and all of a sudden things become a little more malleable, then all of a sudden physical objects mean less, and you stop feeling about things in the same way. But even at that, you still have this is a fun experience, and that fun experience is a mode of energy and feeling of something in your body. Even if you're out of body, you have that feeling of whatever it is. So the feeling still exists, and that now your physical reality, the only thing that's really changed is become a little more fluid. But those two things become and are, and that's all it ever will be in reality. The empty space and the things that fill it up, and then how we feel about it. Just insane. Peppermint to pep the mind. Jordan, the 144,000 to lift the veil trips me the fuck out, to be honest. I did a video a while ago, and you could probably check that out. It's called 144 Sinks. And my connection to 144 is really weird to me. The house I grew up in, 144, that was my address. When I fasted, I didn't recognize it the first time through because I didn't recognize the connection to 144. But the last time I had a digital scale and I was doing a urine fast, and every time I would get on the scale, my weight would be 144.4 or 144, just 144. And then there was just a bunch of other things that always occur, and it was before I knew anything about. I don't give much credence to numerology as a primary primary justifier for anything. I find it to be like a, let's use it third down the line, a third level proof of something. But the abundance of, like, you know, seeing triple numbers and all of these things, I go, oh, it's interesting. But the 144 really, you know, it's one of the things that trips me out, definitely. Which, make of that what you will. Really? I know. I didn't. Whenever I downloaded, it didn't ask me for anything. Damn. Okay. I know. Well. Yeah. Cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate going through the hoops. I didn't know anything about the extra. I just remember putting my my bank account and my email in. But okay, cool. I'll figure it out. Well, I appreciate it. Absolutely. I know. Yeah, exactly. Justin saying, who chooses the 144? You know, I don't know. Did you choose yourself? Did all of us, like, jump out the soul thing and like, all right, well, you're going to play down there, but you're going to forget, or you can be 144,000, but it's going to be fucking weird, but you'll be one of the ones to make the change, and you'll have a little more insight, but it'll suck when you do it first, but then later it'll be better. You know, and you got like a couple million people like, nah, fuck it, I'm taking the fun route. Fuck it, I don't want that consciousness. You know, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, it's a little weird, the 144 stuff, Natasha. What about the hertz and music they changed? You're talking about from, funny enough, it's 144 backwards, 441. Weird, huh? It's supposed to be 4. It's supposed to be either 528 or 432, and they changed to 441. Oops. Flip it around. I mean, that's another really long talk that I don't want to do right now, but it's a really, really interesting one that I don't think. And once again, I don't think anybody out here putting this stuff out here about what the hertz means and what frequencies are, and everybody gets into. There's some really next level mathematics I can break down. It has to do with the way instruments are used, the way they're even encoded with octaves. And octaves and hertz are all wrong. And I don't mean wrong, I just mean not for, you know, not for the upliftment of the soul or the spirit. Not the soul, the spirit. From 440 to 432, there we go. From 4, yeah, there is a big difference. I know, I felt it. I've had people play. I've played different pitches, and I noticed. Yeah. 442. Yeah, it's weird. The 432 makes sense. 444 makes sense because then it's 12, which is 3. 432 is 9, right? So I mean, and that has to do with working on a base 10 system. I'm just giving you a little, which is not correct. So even using frequencies delivered through a numeric coding system based upon 10 kind of gets us away from a little bit of actuality. So I'm just going to give you that little clue into something a little bigger. Yeah, hertz, or hertz hearts, or does it hurt? 432 does feel better. So check it out, y'all. I'm gonna go in and charge my phone, and because I don't have a lot of juice left, I'm gonna go charge my phone, and I'm gonna come in here for round 2 in about half an hour, and we'll kind of you guys can kind of get a little get some questions together, and I'll maybe reframe my mind into some new things and see, or continue on with this, whatever. But I gotta piss and I didn't want to charge my phone, or I have to charge my phone and I want to piss. How's that? Yeah, yeah. I know. Do that. That would be easier. Just email me at the Theo Luminous. I will. Yeah, I'm gonna get some tea, some PP tea maybe. Hey, I know you. So email me at Theo Luminous. Yeah, email me there. Cool. So cool, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll be back in a little bit. And as always, do that thing up there. It'll help in the future. This isn't for me. This is for everyone else. So everybody goes, that guy's cool. They like him. I should like him too. Electric towel. We'll get into that. So I'll be back in like half an hour. Cheers, y'all.